You mentioned about the tech ecosystem being just in Lagos.
Yeah.
But a lot of states have actually been trying to make moves to attract investors, attract tech experts to their state, and the fundamentals is always internet connectivity. So by hearing Anambra has removed right of way charges.
Yes.
Hello everybody. Here's the problem. Here's the problem with this news.
Something has happened.
Something just happened right now, Abi. So, but here's the problem with this story. Yes, Anambra has announced that they've removed right of way again. Yes, a lot of media companies are carrying it as if it's new. I don't know what happened between 2020 and 2023. Did they increase it again? And now they are now slashing it. But in 2020, Anambra, Kaduna actually waived right of way charges. Now, for those who are not familiar with what I'm talking about, so internet connectivity, for it to move from, so internet connectivity is basically a network of computers, in the internet rather, is a network of computers across the globe. And internet from in Africa usually involves a cable called a fiber optic cable that comes from US and Europe to Africa. So the cable is laid under the seabed with very, very specialized ships, and it lands on the coast of Africa. So in Lagos, in Accra, and all those other states. What happens is, once it lands on that coast, it's usually a tough task to get from the coast to your house, my house, and everybody's houses. So what is happening right now in Africa is, or especially in Nigeria, is we have a lot of capacity on the coast. So once the cable lands at a cable landing station or a data center, they now use that cable. So it's the subsea cable that lands at the cable landing station on land. Then they now use terrestrial cable to carry it to the different houses. Not your house, it's base stations close to you. Base stations, those masts. So, but the issue is,
mast in my house actually.
There's mast inside your house, Bolu.
Close to my house. I meant close to my house.
Okay. So, but do you have fiber in your house, like fiber internet?
He does inside his room.
No, unfortunately. But I noticed that once they take light, network used to go.
Network used to go. So you guys, your base station don't have gen.
There's gen. No, I don't know what their
they
problem is.
do. They have gen.
So what's happening?
Once lights go,
I don't understand this.
Interesting.
I think you should talk to them one day.
Okay. So yeah, that's the, so for you to lay the cable from, this is Ikeja right now, and you want to take it, this is Allen, you want to take it to Computer Village, for every meter, most states are charging between 1,500 naira per meter to 5,000 naira per meter.
That's a lot.
Federal government says the standard price is 140 naira per meter. That is the license.
And did 100x.
They now did 100 and something x, 5,000 naira per meter. So different states now have their own policies, right? So when you go to your grandmother in the village and your internet connection is not working well, these are the issues we're talking about. It is very, very difficult for the telcos to lay this fiber cable to that village because they will have to pay this amount, very exorbitant amount. Then they have to go and think about how to install base stations in those places. So what you are usually left with in those villages is just radio waves. So if wave, that's why you have to go on a tree to set. That's why you have to carry phone to your window.
People still have to go on
in those villages. Oh, when last did you go to your village?
I was living in school.
That is the case. So by the time the government is charging you 5,000 naira per linear meter and all of that, that is the problem. So now Anambra is waiving it. Good. And they are waiving it again. What happened the first time?
Maybe this second time is a reminder.
It's a reminder just to tell everyone, we waived though. Now this is the problem with that.
So one question. 2020, when did Soludo become governor?
I don't remember when Soludo became. You should know more than me now.
They don't operate a regular election cycle, so it's always. Let me you can go ahead. The reason I'm asking is maybe it was the previous government that waived it.
It was probably the previous government.
If that's the case, then maybe, because I know he has been doing, or at least his government, they've been trying to introduce some tech initiatives.
Soludo.
His government has been trying.
That is perfectly fine. But my own is, did you disrupt the one that you met?
Well, that's a good question.
So, but I think I understand the issue here, right? It's personally, and of course, you guys are invited to debunk this, but I think it doesn't make business sense for random states scattered around Nigeria to just remove right of way.
Why?
Because it's coming from the shore in Lagos. Okay, how many coastal cities do you have in Nigeria?
Because it's coming from Lagos.
Yes,
It
Lagos,
doesn't make
there's Port
sense.
Harcourt, there's
So that means
Bayelsa.
what are you trying
For
to
the
say?
cable to get to Anambra
Mm.
or Kaduna,
Mm.
it has to pass through other states.
Oh, and those states too will collect their
They'll
money.
collect your distance. So it's actually a very, very, very difficult endeavor to say, oh, you want to carry your. I mean, what I'm saying is like an oversimplified version of how it actually works, right? Engineers would actually be able to explain better how this works. But these are my concerns. Even if you waive, does it make business sense to carry? Because the cables themselves are actually expensive. Buying it, they are imported, and you have your FX issues to deal with. Do you get?
Because are trying.
So you have FX issues. They are no longer normally before this naira float, they were sourcing dollars at official rates. Now they are sourcing it at this high 800 to 900 rate. So does it make business sense to carry it to that state? Is there a way they can carry the capacity in from the subsea cable that landed in Lagos without having to pass through the states? It's possible. They could pass the water probably, but that's extra expenses. So
Can they land at, say, I don't know, Port Harcourt? So we have other.
what is the incentive to land there? That's the question. What is the
What's
incentive
the
to
incentive to land in Lagos?
Lagos? This is where all your businesses are, Mike. This is where all the businesses are.
Incentives to land in Port Harcourt. Let's see.
So they're actually, so to be very, very clear, actually some of these cables are actually there, but mostly they are targeting businesses. So for instance, from what I learned, there's a special network that companies like Shell and Chevron use, and it's just them. Nobody else on this thing. They're not carrying traffic for everybody.
Mad.
They're carrying traffic for those themselves, and and their system is connected worldwide. So there are special networks like that. So beyond that, what's the incentive to actually go there? And in Port Harcourt has right of way. River State, they've not waived right of way fees to my knowledge. So if they land in Port Harcourt, they will have to pass to River State to get to Anambra. But please, I'm willing to come back and eat my words if everything I've been saying is bubble. But this is the reality that we are facing right now, and it's a very, very, very difficult business that we're talking about. Then after, let's say you find a way to get the cables to Anambra State and they waive right of way charges, are you going to stop constructing roads? If they construct roads, all the roads they're constructing in Lagos, they were actually destroying telco cables.
You know what? Even if they don't construct roads, so this was an experience. I've not seen it a lot recently, but back when I still lived in about like every few weeks or every few months, they were digging up those cables, and I just couldn't understand why.
Abba,
Yeah,
they were digging up cables.
yeah. Like so, it wasn't vandalism. Now, it was just they were just digging up these cables like every few months, and I couldn't understand why. Well, I never asked. I still do not understand it. Like in a year, you could dig up the cables 3 or 4 times, and this isn't when road construction is happening, just regularly, and it's usually by the side of the road. So they just dig it up, and sometimes they'll tell you that they're laying. So in my mind, I felt okay, they're just laying the cables, but then a few months later, they're still digging up the same places. So I don't know.
Okay, so
probably someone has to explain that.
Yeah, so there are different reasons why they might be if it's the companies themselves that are digging it up, there might be an issue with the cable and they're trying to fix it.
Okay.
But if it is not the companies, then that is vandalism as far as I'm concerned. If it's the companies themselves that are digging up the cables, so for instance, Fiber One could be trying to run maintenance, weather condition could have affected the cable somewhere, and they're trying to trace where. It even happens under the sea, where there can be issue with the cable and you have to trace where it came from. So
Sounds expensive.
yes, so if that happens, but what you normally see is a lot of vandalism occurs because maybe the telco has not settled who they are supposed to settle in that area, so they'll go and dig it up to threaten them. There's road construction going on, was there anything going on? So, for instance, in Lagos, we also saw the unified fiber, this thing where they were digging up pipes around the states, and now everybody's waiting. Okay, what's next? Oh yeah, you finished digging. Okay, what's next? Oh yeah, come and give us space. Yeah, come and pay. How much? Almost the same thing they were asking for right of way. So all those things, so many issues, and for those who are listening and probably wondering what these guys are saying, if these cables are cut, your internet connection will be very, very terrible, and you will start insulting your telco. If anything happens to the base station, say they went to off the gen there, it happens. You people are laughing. It happens. They seize the base station, and they will not just seize all these communities we're talking about. They will not just seize a base station. They will seize a base station that is like connected to others. Yeah. So if you shut down one, you're shutting down plenty.
You know the funny thing is, how do they even know those things?
They know.
They are not professionals. But how do they even
know? They know. There are like 3 major base stations like that in Lagos. If you go and shut down any one of them, a large chunk of Lagos will be disconnected, and you'll be like, MTN does not want to do telco again. They should go into farming, or Airtel should try to start selling akara, those kind of things.
MTN and Airtel, they've not gotten to that point. The others know themselves.
The others know themselves, but yeah, that's an issue, and I think summary. Is there a reason why Anambra is announcing this again? What happened the last time? Why couldn't initiatives be built to try and incentivize telcos to actually go there? Because if the government creates incentive for these guys to go there, beyond this right of way, this thing, they will go. Onitsha is a very huge market. Imagine connecting thousands of businesses and all of that. Then number two, you just heard us discussing it, all the issues that these telcos are facing, and only God knows when your internet connection will be.
So I'm just wondering, is there a place where Elon Musk and Starlink coming?
That is where, so not Starlink, that is, you are looking at Avanti, you are looking at Eutelsat and Yasat. Those Eutelsat is the satellite service provider for DSTV. So what they also do on the side is also provide satellite internet service for the telcos. So telcos don't actually have to go to some of all these communities to offer services. Avanti does the same thing. They have their telecom partners, not Starlink. And I have to emphasize that. So Eutelsat has been working with Connect. Satellite internet operators are actually helping these telcos hit rural areas, give them connectivity, and area boys cannot go and seize the satellite and off gen. That kind of thing.
I mean, so maybe government should be considering.
I think there's a lot for government to do in a lot of our problems. Government has hand in most of the problems we have.
Your government is fragmented. Even if the federal government, to my knowledge, has been very cooperative. But you have 36 different governments.
Or maybe they are cooperative because they know that the buck doesn't stop with them. That could be why they are cooperative. Basically, they will tell people to go and do something when they know that execution is largely in your hands.
And that means policies or I don't know, whatever needs to change. Because for example, why this thing should be uniform? The right of way charges.
So it can't be uniform because it's not you that will tell me what I'll do in my own state.
No, you know the crazy thing.
Federal government,
you know the crazy thing. They've actually called all these governors together in one place, and they've already agreed.
Exactly. So you can agree, and someone will get back home and decide those guys are talking to themselves. They are not doing again. So how do you want to do?
And apart from state government, even if your state governor agree, you have to consider local government chairman. You have to consider Oba, consider Bale, consider
they should not call all the stakeholders so that we'll just have.
Stakeholders.
No, I think if a governor is serious, he can do it. It's easier for them at that level because they are closest to the problem. So if a governor, let's say, I think if you're in Ogun State, it should be easy to just move the cables from Lagos. So let's say Ogun State or your state decides to do that. It's easier for them to do that. They can easily rein in the local government chairman. This is illegal, but just remind them that local government elections could always be cancelled. For starters, remind them you can do what Wike did where he was treating traditional rulers like kids, right? So you could use both carrot and stick. I'm not giving people bad ideas. You guys already have it, but it's easier for them. So I think if governors are serious about attract or like driving growth of technology in their states, I think it could go a long way. Could go a long way too.
Okay, let's see how Anambra and Kaduna too. They wave right of way.
Abia State. Help me to help you people. When they ask me I'm from, I can boldly say
your people are digging up cables every 2 market days.
I won't call that one vandalism. I think it's probably the companies because it's done in broad daylight.
Okay.
So, but please, people should help me. Let's start with Startup Act. Yeah. Let's start. You can domesticate it, even though I know domesticating is just boo-boo. But let's start with that one first. Thank you.
I think the governments, even the governments that are making a show of supporting technology, should put their money where their announcements are.
Yep.